If anyone thought that a Trump presidency would end up fine, I told you so, to be honest with you. Like, no regrets. All the third-party voters, anyone who didn't go out and vote even though they knew they should have, thank you for screwing us all over collectively as a whole. There's this picture that's gone viral recently from the U.S. Holocaust Museum, and it's called The Early Warning Signs of Fascism. And I've done a little research, and I'm going to go through some of them and tell you specific examples of Trump being basically Hitler 2.0. Powerful and continuing nationalism. Make America great again. God, so obvious. How did this happen? How has this happened? Disdain for human rights. The ban on Muslims, which, as I am currently aware, it is 3:02 p.m. on Saturday, February 11th, 2017, and as of right now, there was a thing where the federal court was going to put away with it and not have it be a thing, and then the White House original statement was like, oh, we're not going to appeal to this, and then now they're like, oh, we are going to appeal to this. And now I just saw an article, they're going to completely rewrite the order. So, disdain for human rights. In addition to that, the reopening of the Dakota Access Pipeline, which is something that, honestly, that whole situation just made me so upset. That was possibly the worst part of 2016. How we have kind of stepped back in our civil rights and basic human decency. Opposing equal marriage. Trump is a known... I hesitate to use this word because I feel like I'll get a lot of blowback for it, but I would define Trump as a sexual predator. I really would. Identification of enemies as a unifying cause. That was his platform. I'm sorry, but that one's the most obvious one. I cannot believe this is happening. Supremacy of the military. So, the Trump administration wants to increase the size of the Army and the Marine Corps, build new ships for the Navy, add jets to the Air Force, and modernize the nuclear arsenal. I will provide sources down below for all of this, but honestly, our military budget is huge as it is. I don't know what we're going to do. How much more money can we funnel into that? That's already above and beyond an excessive amount of money. Rampant sexism. So, one of the first warning signs during the Trump campaign was the part, I forget what interviewer it was. It might have been Megyn Kelly. Beginning of the campaign, there was a altercation, and I shouldn't say altercation because it was absolutely Trump's fault, and it was just Megyn Kelly interviewing him and him not wanting to respond. And he basically said the reason he was being targeted is because she was in her period. That was what he's implied. He's like, you can see the blood coming out of her eyes. It's got blood coming out of her you know what. And first of all, if you can't say the word vagina, then you have no place in doing anything regarding women's health care and birth control, the defunding of Planned Parenthood, all of that stuff. If you can't say the word vagina, but you can say the P word, the infamous P word, then I'm sorry, there's nothing more clear-cut than that. This administration, he stopped government funding to international programs that give abortions. I think that was called the New Mexico policy. Again, I'm going to post links below to all of this stuff. It's not like I'm making it up. This is actually happening. Controlled mass media. Steve Bannon, the KKK member, was quoted as saying the media should be embarrassed and humiliated and keep its mouth shut and just listen for a while. And I'm sorry, that screams oppression to me. I'm sorry. What's the point of becoming a journalist if you can't report the news? Any negative polls are fake news, just like the CNN, ABC, NBC polls in the election. Sorry, people want border security and extreme vetting. 7:01 a.m., the 6th of February, 2017. In case that gets deleted. But he hasn't deleted any of his really offensive tweets, so I don't think it will. Obsession with national security. Donald J. Trump, 8th of February 2017, 7:03 a.m. If the U.S. does not win this case, as it so obviously should, we can never have the security and safety to which we're entitled. Politics. Religion and government intertwined. I can't think of a single reason for people not approving of gay marriage or abortion, stuff like that. That's a religion-based issue, and this isn't really as much of a Trump thing as it is a Republican Party or a majority of the Republican Party thing. As in, I can't think of a single, scientific reason or anything that's not specifically related to Christianity, I suppose, specifically, although I'm sure there's other religions that aren't okay with it. Separation of church and state is one of the most important facets of our democracy, and the whole ideas behind getting rid of gay marriage, getting rid of Roe v. Wade, they're rooted in the opposite of that idea. So that in itself is really disturbing. Corporate power protected. Okay, this is going to be extremely long, but there's a whole bunch of his cabinet members. There was a Huffington Post article that I was reading about all the cabinet members and how they are all from corporations, and I'm going to read most of them. Rex Tillerson, Trump's Secretary of State pick, spent his entire career at ExxonMobil, which is not just among the world's largest oil companies, but the corporation most responsible for spreading climate denial and intimidating climate activists. Betsy DeVos, named to be Education Secretary, is a billionaire scion whose husband is heir to the Amway fortune, is a purveyor of extremist education privatization proposals, and has herself invested in for-profit education companies. Former Goldman Sachs executive Gary Cohn, slated to head the National Economic Council, who led Goldman Sachs as it profited off the housing market collapse, in part by misleading some clients. There's a lot more I could read, but this is already pretty long. I'm going to link this article in the description. Read it, please. Disdain for intellectuals in the arts. The Trump presidency is looking to get rid of the National Endowment for the Arts, or NEA, and the National Endowment for the Humanities, the NEH, entirely, and also privatizing the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, or CBP, which in part funds PBS. I was going to do the whole list, but if this isn't enough to scare you, then I don't know what will. One of them that I'm just remembering now is fraudulent elections. And remember that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by a significant amount, 2 million votes, which is the largest margin in American history. This is not what the people have voted for, and it's clear why.